good to have you with us on the 9 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, one conversation that's again doing the rounds is the one about fuel price hike. For the past 18 days, every day the prices of fuel, of petrol and diesel have gone up in the country. Little by little, in the last 18 days, the prices have consistently gone up to the point that one would say that in 18 days, your diesel has become costlier by 11 rupees and your petrol has become costlier by 9 rupees. And it's hovering at extremely high prices right now across the country. Now, of course, the opposition has picked up this issue and said already we are going through an economic slowdown, already we are going through a tough time, then there is the pandemic, the fear of the pandemic and coronavirus. Why is it that the government is really adding another pressure, another big challenge to the common man by increasing and constantly increasing the prices for petrol and diesel? Because remember, viewers, it's not just about what you put in your car or your bike as fuel to be used, but at every point, even for goods transport, even for from one dealer to from the farmer to the retailer, from the manufacturer to your shop, everything that has to be transported uses fuel. That incremental price also you end up paying. Many of the products that you use also have byproducts that come out of oil. Now, as the Brent goes up, those products also become expensive. So there is a larger inflationary impact that happens when the price of fuel begins to shoot up so quickly. Now, what is it that the centre has been saying? And this has been the centre's response and defence for a while when it comes to fuel price hikes. It says that the domestic fuel prices are largely market-driven, which is a fact. It's not a government decision. As the price of your crude oil goes up, the price of your petrol gets revised frequently and that goes up. Fuel price hike, the government says, is also going to help it fund the government schemes. Now remember, if the government doesn't earn any revenues, where will they get the money? And this government needs a lot of money this year when the businesses have shut down, when the economy is down in the dumps, and extra expenditure is required to tackle coronavirus. Where will the money come from? The government also says that those who are protesting, if any opposition party has a problem, whichever state you are governing, why don't you slash your own taxes? And this is an interesting point that we will debate in the coming few minutes. There's obviously the point of Brent crude prices, the international crude prices going up. Remember, viewers, we explained to you here on Mirror Now how a few months ago, globally the crude prices, WTI specifically, had completely crashed and Brent came down. But that's not what it is anymore. It's pretty much come back to the levels we saw a few months ago. So then, is it justified, these price hikes that we are looking at? Is the opposition justified in raising these questions? Do we have to find a middle ground where the government gets to earn some money, but the entire burden doesn't come on the armed army? This is the basic debate I want to have, but very quickly, before I go across to our panelists, let me also tell you, it's simply not about international market prices going up and you having to pay more. On March 14, the excise duty was hiked by 3 rupees on petrol and about 3 rupees per litre on diesel. On May 5th, the excise duty on petrol was hiked by 10 rupees and the excise duty on diesel was hiked by 13 rupees. So there is already an additional 13 and 16 rupees of taxes that you have been asked to pay just in the last few months. Let's say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now. Radhika Khera of the Congress Party joins us this evening. Mr. Gopal Agarwal of the BJP. Saurabh Chandra, former Royal Secretary, with us this evening. And Ms. Sunil Alak, business and brand consultant, also joining us. So we've got experts, we've got the political representatives for an all-round conversation here. Let me go across to Radhika Khera first. Radhika, why is it that your party believes this is an issue right now? At the end of the day, the government says they need some money in this bad economy as well.
It's been 18 days and we've seen hike in petrol and diesel prices for 18 days consecutively. Now, the problem is that this is when the prices all over the world are decreasing, when crude oil prices are decreasing, at that time, especially when the nation is suffering, The poor man, diesel for the first time is more expensive than petrol. Since independence, for the first time, petrol and diesel prices are at this high. So when diesel price increases, who does it affect? Who uses diesel the most? Farmers, traders, people who are using trucks. So what happens? Then the common man also gets affected. How? Because the prices of daily use goods increases. Everything increases because diesel is so expensive. So our main concern is that just for a few, like we say, Rahul ji has again and again said that this government is only a suit boot government, only bothered about a few industrialists, not bothered about the common man, not bothered about the farmers, not bothered about the small merchants, small businessmen, because the rise in diesel prices actually affects them the most. If the diesel price increases, then obviously then common man also gets affected. So this is something which needs to be addressed immediately at a time when the nation is suffering. People are jobless, they have no work, their businesses have shut down, and they're at home. They don't even have money to go out and even buy basic use even vegetables and pulses. That is the harsh reality that the world is facing today. So when people all over the world are facing this, and countries other than India have not increased their diesel and petrol prices, why is India increasing the petrol and diesel prices? What is the problem? Why cannot they bring it under VAT? Why is the government shying away from bringing all these things? Then when they talk about, if you remember, Modi ji, before he became the prime minister, has always said कि मैं गरीब आदमी हूँ, मैं गरीब माँ बाप का बेटा हूँ, मैं समझता हूँ एक गरीब आदमी का दर्द क्या होता है. अगर if Modi ji actually truly understands the dard of the गरीब आदमी, of the common man, then this is something which he should have addressed first and foremost.
Okay, but here is what I'm looking at, Radhika Khera, to you and to other panelists. It's not just the center. Delhi, Gujarat, Uttarakhand, UP, MP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tripura, Goa, Rajasthan, Meghalaya, Assam, Nagaland, Haryana, Tamil Nadu and Arunachal Pradesh. All of these states have also increased their prices, fuel prices. Some of these, the ones that I named earlier, have significantly increased the taxes, brought in additional cess. So isn't this what literally almost every government is doing in the country right now, Radhika?
Exactly why we should get petrol and diesel under VAT. That's going to make a lot of difference. And there is over 120 lakh crore money that the government of India has collected in the last 6 years by regularly increasing prices of petrol and diesel. Where is that money being used? What is it being utilized for? If it is not going to be utilized for times like this, when there is an issue and when there is a Mahamari, if you do not utilize things in a state of emergency, when are you going to utilize that? What did the government do with the money that they collected in over 6 years? Continuously, we've seen in 6 years that the prices of crude oil have decreased all over the world. And only in India, they have increased. So the money the revenue that the government has collected, where has that gone? Why is it not being utilized today at a time when the nation needs it the most? The money that they earned in 6 years of crazy increase in price hikes. And like I'm saying again, this is the first time since independence that petrol and diesel are at this high, especially when world over prices are low and crude oil is at lowest. What is the government up to? That needs to understand. Are they not understanding what the common man is facing? And if they bring it under VAT and VAT, then all these things about states increasing their prices, state increasing taxes, that all will be addressed. Why are they shying away from bringing up this reform?
Okay, let me go across to Mr. Gopal Agarwal. Some crucial points being raised by the Congress party there. Let's hear what the BJP has to say. Mr. Agarwal.
Tanviji, I must appreciate that in your opening remark, though you showed your concern about the people, but still you brought out the effect on the petrol prices in all aspects of it. I should here mention is that if the Congress is so much concerned, definitely it should show as an example and reduce the excise and other things on the state level. One thing. Second thing is that you also mentioned that this current rise in the fuel prices is because of the oil manufacturing companies. It is not because the excise or anything has been raised just now today or something. Second thing is, it is not only the center which requires resources, but the state governments are also requiring. And the center has an obligation to transfer about 40% of whatever tax is collected at the center to the state through direct from the 14th Finance Commission requirement. And in addition to that, the center is supporting state government on many schemes directly, like Manrega now it is doing, or One Ration, One Nation is doing, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Yojana is there. All these Ujjwala Yojana, all these schemes are financed by the center and are implemented by the states. It is benefiting those people and common people work. The government requires resources for all these activities. One second thing, everybody should understand, economics is not just rhetoric and showing concern. We are also concerned about the common man, for the poor people, but the government resources have to be judiciously utilized in the areas where it is more giving more leverage and more effective. So if the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana is bringing direct benefit to the in the hands of the people, for particularly targeted people, poor people or agriculture, rural population, there it is better to transfer money from there. And therefore we are taking that route. You see, we have a scheme of 21 lakh crores of this COVID response economic package. So the thing is, the government has neither increased the corporate tax. We have not, by the way, we have reduced it. If you compare by before 2014, the corporate tax was around 40% and direct taxes were around 35 to 40%. We have reduced both the things for individual and the corporate to 25%. So we are working on an economic model for wellness, and even on the GST side, when the Congress talks about so many things, all the food items are at present under the GST rate of 5%. We have reduced so much of indirect tax. Both these collections from direct and indirect tax during the corona crisis have fallen almost 50%. Still, the center has not reduced any fund transfer to the state. In this period, 2 months period, we have transferred to the state 4,28,000 crores to the state government. And that is on the estimated of the budget figures and not actual figure, which is much below the actual collections estimated in the budget. Still, we know that the state needs funds at this point of time. So we have transferred the same amount on the earlier estimated budget figures. So these points have to be considered. Direct tax is reduced, indirect tax is reduced. The government needs certain resources. We have tapping fiscal expansion for resources generation. We are tapping borrowing from the central government also. We are giving leverage of borrowing to the state government also. So at this point, we find that the petrol and diesel prices is an area where overall figure, if you see the prices, is almost equal to earlier. It was around 75 to 80 in longer period. So the rate, if we are able to maintain that rate grossly to the consumer, retailer, and there is a scope for collection of resources, this is a good economic that we are doing. Everybody should appreciate that the government is collecting taxes where it can, there is a scope for better collection, transferring it to the poor people through better targeted schemes.
Okay.
We have transferred 53,000 crores in 41 crore bank accounts without a single paisa leakage. So that is a better way of transferring the subsidies for the poor. So it is, I know that it is harmful. It is pinching the common man, but we are finding as an economic model better alternative to tax this or increase. Even our oil companies, which were completely in red, now at first time, they have slightly come into the black. So it's a market-driven prices that we are following. But in times of difficulties, we may reduce excise if the global prices rise. And global prices has risen from April. In April, it was $16. Now it is $42, 162%.
Okay, now one by one, Mr. Gopal Agarwal. When you say you will reduce your prices in times of difficulties, what are these times of difficulty? What can be more difficult than us being in a economic slowdown, almost a depression, where the economy is expected to contract by 6% or 4%, when people are losing their jobs, businesses are shutting down, there is a pandemic, the crude prices globally are going down. On top of that, there are excise duty hikes, additional cess that are being imposed. Now, beyond this, what are you describing as times will become difficult?
Tanvi ji, I agree that this is a difficult time. So in the difficult time, economics says you choose the better alternative. We are choosing a better alternative. It should be appreciated. Those who understand economics will appreciate that the government is taking money from where there is a scope, and when it will be, if further there will be a rise, then government may look into that. Ultimately, we are allocating resources which is government is getting. Still, out of that also, we are expanding the fiscal deficit. We are expanding the borrowing. All sources are being tapped to stimulate and catalyze our economy. And we consider poor sections as more vulnerable at this point of time. They need direct help. If in Manrega, migrant labor are getting 50,000 crores, if every person here in India without ration card also is getting rations, SDRF fund has been accessed. So the amount of expenditure which the central government is doing is tremendous. You should appreciate this actions.
Okay, quick, Radhika Khera wanted to come in before I go into our other two experts. Yes, go ahead please, Radhika Khera.
Yeah, I agree with the BJP spokesperson that we should appreciate what the government is doing. We absolutely, Mr. Gopal, appreciate that the government only thinks about the corporates and does not think about the Aam Aadmi. We appreciate that you're only a suit boot ki sarkar and you're not a Kisan ki sarkar and Aam Aadmi ki sarkar or Garib Janta ki sarkar. We also appreciate that you have collected 18 lakh crore rupees in the last 6 years, increasing in your excise collections just from petrol and diesel, and that is not being utilized today. We also appreciate that you do not tell the people what that money has been used for and where it has gone. We also appreciate at a time of crisis, you are actually breaking the back of the poor man, the common man, the farmers, the small-time traders, because diesel increase in price and diesel actually affects the common man, the farmers and the poor people. If you were actually truly a common man's government, you would have bothered about that. Historically low oil prices, and there has been a 9% decline in the last 1 week in crude oil prices. Still, India is increasing prices, and you talk about we are decreasing prices for the corporate.
42.
Sir, I did not interrupt. Sir, I did not interrupt. I listened to whatever you said. We all heard that out. Please don't interrupt. The point is that when you talk about the common man, you talk about the poor, you talk about all the things that you're doing. Why are you again and again in the last 6 years torturing farmers? The rise and increase in diesel and petrol prices directly affects the farmers. In turn, that decreases the price of goods. We are at a stage where people have no jobs, businesses have shut down. Still, people are not, they're losing everything. We're seeing what's happening. There's no money that people have to even buy daily groceries. We may be at a better place, but go and look at the common man. There is a very big issue that the country is suffering from. And all you're bothered is that we've decreased corporate taxes, we've decreased that. Why and where is that money that you collected in 6 years?
We take an economic decision, madam, which will help the revival of the economy. We are not disconnected from, no, madam. We are not disconnected from the economics and good of the nation.
Okay.
We do not look into politics all the time.
Let me bring in our two experts.
No, we do not look into politics.
Let me bring in our two experts. Okay, we've heard both sides. We've heard the Congress. We've heard the BJP. I want to bring in Mr. Saurabh Chandra first. Mr. Saurabh Chandra, the big conversation right now is about the 18-day non-stop price hikes that we've seen without any relief earlier, even when the crude prices went down. Is it justified what we're doing if the government says we need to keep the taxes on because we need the money and the rest is market driven? Is that justified?
Let me at the outset state that the prices of petrol and diesel are linked to international benchmark, to international product prices. For petrol, it is the Singapore price. For diesel, it is Dubai. The price hike there is reflected after about a fortnight in the Indian fuel prices. So that is my first point. The second thing is that Brent crude and the international product prices often move in tandem, but there is a phase lag to both of them. So if the prices fall this week, they would perhaps be reflected after about 2 weeks. Having said that, there are no easy options before the government at this time. Each one is painful. Now, one option that the government has adopted is to impose additional excise duties, and the state governments have imposed additional VAT on petrol and diesel. What is the other option to raise resources? Resources are required. Direct taxes have fallen. Collections of indirect taxes have fallen. Now, the other option, as economists are suggesting, is monetization of deficit. Now, today, when you impose a tax, the pain is in the present. It is certain, it is known. When you monetize deficit, you're pushing the pain to the future generations. We don't know whether it is a known unknown or we are getting into unknown unknowns. Now, these are choices. Every government makes its choices. Whichever government is in power. Earlier, the difference in diesel and petrol prices was maintained because of differential taxation. The excise duty and the VAT, which is a cascading tax, was imposed as a different percentage on diesel and petrol. But the Delhi government has decided to equate the two. World over, normally diesel prices are higher than the petrol prices. So this is the position. Now here a decision has been taken, keeping in view that, look, there will be pain. It is a painful choice, but let us bear it in the present rather than leave it to the future.
Okay, but the fact of the matter then, Sunil Alagh, is that yes, the prices are market driven, and if the crude goes up, then that's what happens. Automatically, the companies here will increase their price. But we've also brought in so much more taxes. Now, should the governments relook at those in the light of the increasing international prices?
No, look, as far as the taxes are concerned, it's not a question of bringing in new taxes. For every 1 or 2 rupees that the petrol prices are increased by the petrol companies, another 4 rupees is added by the center and the states, right? So therefore, for every 1 rupee, there's 2 rupees which is added on by the center and the states. So therefore, why are the petrol prices being increased by the petroleum companies is the question that one should be asking. Because the taxes that the state governments and the center collects is a consequence of that. I think we are barking up the wrong tree and telling the state governments, no, let the petrol prices be increased by petroleum companies, but you reduce the tax. And that is ridiculous, because the only hope is that right now the taxes are ad valorem. And what we could suggest is put a fixed number, and for 1 or 2 years, don't keep it ad valorem, because if a petrol price is increased by a petrol company, then at that stage, then if you do a fixed amount as opposed to ad valorem, then that could be something that could be looked at. And to answer the questions to both the political parties, look, there are 700 million people who are not affected by the petrol price increase. The average Aam Aadmi is not affected. Please understand that they are the poor farmers, and they are the ones that are being looked after in terms of being given free gas and free money and free rations and free everything. That's where the money is going. So don't think that the 200-300 million people that you're talking about constitutes India. That's another thing which we have to think about. There's another 700-800 million people who are not affected by any petrol price increase or any diesel price increase. They hardly get anything out of anybody, and the government is spending on them. So therefore, this debate between BJP and Congress, I don't understand. Look, the petrol prices, why do people increase a price or decrease a price? Any private company, which is what petrol companies have been asked to do, you increase the price because you feel that the volume is not going to get affected. It's inelastic, so you can afford to increase the price. Those are the margins that have to be done. So concentrate and focus on the petrol companies, please. And the government should change from ad valorem to perhaps a fixed sum. And that would perhaps make the right kind of balance. To say that remove the taxes and all, then where will the money, as somebody raised, where will the money come from? Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're giving a lot of free food, a lot of money, everything is going everywhere, and you can't just take petrol prices alone. Tomorrow you can say the onion prices go up, and therefore you blame the government for not controlling onion prices. As of the whole world, you're eating nothing but onions in the world. Look, everybody has to chip in a little bit. That's the only mature way of looking at things. Bring in from ad valorem, perhaps to a fixed amount, and try and get the petrol companies to say, don't increase prices at the moment. Perhaps that is the right way to look at it.
Yes, because I'm just looking at, some amount of business numbers that have been announced today. And Indian Oil, which is a state-owned company, reported a loss of about 5,000 crore in the March quarter. Now, this is after the oil prices had crashed. So, obviously, the companies are not going to be willing to take any added burden if they see an opportunity where international prices are going up, Mr. Sunil Alagh. They are going to be increasing the prices. They're not going to be looking at, between us and the government taxes, what is the impact on the common man, isn't it?
No, then you should have opposed the thing of giving it to the oil companies to play around with the price then. You should have kept it under the government control. Why did the people not raise any objection when the 2 years ago when they said ask the petrol price increases will go up by whatever the companies think is right? Everybody kept shut. Now you are coming in and saying no, then go after the petrol companies. No, you're going after the government for what? If the petrol price is not increased, there's nothing that the government can do. They will not get any further increase in taxes at all. So if you're barking up the wrong tree, please, once again I'm saying, attack the petrol companies as to why they are doing it. Don't attack the government. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Gopal Agarwal wants to make a point and then we'll go across to Radhika Khera. Yes, Mr. Agarwal.
I just want to make one clarification. In 2002, it was decided that the oil prices will be market driven. But when the UPA 1 and 2 came, what they did is international crude oil prices were increasing and they just wanted populist measures, and the way they hurt the economy, that they started issuing oil bonds to the companies, which were neither even provided in the budget, and they were outside the budget. They were just issuing paper bonds to the oil companies. They allowed those paper bonds to be issued and accumulated those losses in the companies. And still, I tell you the figures, still it is to be paid by everybody. Those accumulated losses from oil bonds in the UPA government, first and two, are still pending. It is to be repaid by 2025. That is the fraud-like activity which the Congress and UPA plays on the economic model. We are transparent. We do take the right decisions on economic decisions, and those oil bonds, we are paying with the interest. I tell you, in 2019 figure is around 70,000 crore annually was to be paid, including interest and the principal. That is the way the manipulation of economic policies was being taken place in the UPA. Now it is a transparent mechanism. We are saying that we have increased excise. Even global prices have increased in April from $16 to $42. The companies have increased the prices, but there is a large component of taxes by the central government and the state government. But we are taxing where there is scope for tax and giving to, as Mr. Alagh said, those people who are directly in more need of the funds.
Okay, so again I will ask you this question. Again I will ask you this question, Mr. Gopal Agarwal. What do you mean by where there is scope for taxation? When the global crude oil prices crashed, our fuel prices didn't come down to the same extent. The government moved in very quickly to increase the taxes at that point of time.
Yes.
And so the people didn't get any benefit. Now the global prices are returning back up. So we are paying even more on top of that. So that's unfair.
No, that's what,
at what point are we going to turn around and say, well, everything doesn't have to be borne by the people?
No.
That's the question.
No, I'm telling you.
I understand this is a tough time. The government also needs to shore up the revenues. I understand when people are not buying enough fuel, you are also not getting your percentage of the tax because not enough is being sold out there. But can we not look at other innovative ways to raise funds as well? Is this the only easy way to raise 1 lakh, 2 lakh crore rupees just from the fuel taxes?
Tanvi ji, Mr. Saurabh ji told us that there are other monetization and other factors which the government is there and which we are looking out. We are borrowing. The level of borrowing has increased. Fiscal deficit has been expanded. Then other means of resource generation are being looked into. RBI's money has been taken. RBI is also sharing some of the burden. It is the various aspects. And fuel price, we have collected around more than 2 lakh crore, but we have created a lot of infrastructure, even only on the border. You see, if you look into the current China crisis, if we had not built 16 roads along the border, what would have happened to the border security? If we had not built the 2 bridges on the Arunachal side on the Brahmaputra, which were just pending for 19 years.
But we are paying road taxes and road cess for that. But we are already paying road taxes and additional cess for that.
So the total size of budget from 2014 has increased to more than 27 lakh crores. So the government is spending more. Government is spending on infrastructure. Government is spending on social welfare schemes. Government has improved the efficiency of delivery also. There is no leakage. Don't forget Rajiv Gandhi saying that after 1 rupee, 85% is taken by their workers and their office bearers. So only 15% reaches.
Who said workers and office bearers?
Okay, point taken.
Don't make up lines. You're a spokesperson of a national party, of a ruling party, and you're lying on national television what Rajiv Ji said. If you are not aware what he said and you go by your WhatsApp
you should where this 85% went there, madam? Where this 85% went there? Tell us where this 85% went. Who took this 85%? ये जो स्विस बैंक में आपके पैसे रखे हुए हैं ना, स्विस बैंक में आपके नेताओं के स्विस बैंक में जो पैसे रखे हुए हैं,
okay, no.
85% में से आए हुए हैं.
Mr. Gopal Agarwal, you know it, and every other panelist and all our viewers know that's not the kind of debate we have here. Please don't resort to political rhetorics that have absolutely no connection to the conversation we are having right now. Let's have the constructive debate that we were holding so far. Yes, so Radhika Khera, you can respond, but please don't go down the road of topics which are not connected to what we are saying. Yes, okay, Radhika Khera.
Rajiv Ji, I'm sorry, Tanvi Ji, but Rajiv Ji was a former Prime Minister of India, and anyone living in this country must respect any of our Prime Ministers, whether they are current Prime Ministers or former Prime Ministers, because it is the same Janta who has chosen the BJP.
For Narendra Modi Ji, tell me, madam, आपके नेता क्या कह रहे हैं मोदी जी को?
Please, nobody talks the way Narendra Modi Ji does. All of us respect our Prime Minister. Please,
no respect. We have seen your respect for Modi Ji.
Okay. I have one last question, if I can go back. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, please, I am not going to allow you to derail this conversation. The conversation tonight is not about Rajiv Gandhi, it's not about Narendra Modi. Now, can we please get back to the fuel prices? Radhika Khera, do you have anything to respond to what the BJP is saying about we need the money? And we are utilizing it for infrastructure to take care of the poor right now. For those who are losing their jobs, all of those welfare schemes, money is required.
Absolutely, money is required to make the tallest statues in the world. But money is not being utilized for the poor farmers. And when the crude oil prices are at the lowest in the last 15 years, our government has increased petrol prices by 258% since 2014 and diesel prices by 819%. Where are the revenues that the government has got from all that? The most important thing is when the prices are rising, price of LPG rises, prices of petrol and diesel rise, the farmers, again I will repeat, farmers are the backbone of our economy. They are being affected and the common man is being affected because yes, onions will get more expensive, tomatoes will get more expensive, pulses will get more expensive, basic necessities will get more expensive if petrol and diesel are more expensive. Diesel increase will, trucks, people have to pay more. So we have to understand this directly, indirectly affects the common man, affects you and me, affects the poor people who are out of jobs, common man who have been working in restaurants or in hotels who are now jobless, in the aviation sector who are now jobless. Where are they going to get the money to buy the basic goods that they need to eat also if the prices of petrol and diesel are going to increase? And LPG is also increasing. Why is the government not bringing these prices under VAT is something that they have to actually answer to the public. And where the revenue that they've collected in those 6 years is gone, they have
Okay.
nothing to tell us.
So Sunil Alagh wants to make a point. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Who do you want? Me? Who have you asked?
Sunil Alagh, yes.
Yeah, okay. Look, I mean, I don't want to get into this slanging match which has been taking place, and that's why I don't come into any political debates. Because, look, to understand that, look, the prices are going to go up. It's not that any person eats only onions. The way the opposition and the way the parties go about tomato prices, as if the whole world is only eating tomatoes. When you talk about price increase and the price going down, the prices of wheat is going down, the price of rice is going down, the price of many dals are going down, and some lentils are going up, and something is going up. So on an average, this is not a political debate. Please, madam, you have to now just turn around and say, yes, there are certain prices that will go up, and the whole nation has to pay the price of COVID. Somewhere down the line, if we are saying, no, the nation doesn't have to pay anything, let the government do whatever they like, that itself is wrong. That premise itself is wrong. All I'm saying is that, look, if the petrol prices are being increased by petrol companies, there is a problem. Let the state governments where Congress rules or where BJP rules, let them lead by example. Let them say, I'm reducing it. That will be an example that will be set. Why is no state government bothered to reduce the price either? So I'm just turning around and saying that, look, it is not that the rich farmer gets affected. The poor guy, I come back again and I say, 700 million people don't have a scooter, don't even have any pay. They get barely X amount of money to eat every day. And please don't compare yourself to that. The middle income group is affected. I've always thought that perhaps the middle income group needs a little extra money because they will start the engine of actually increasing demand. Therefore, the government must do something for the middle income group. So don't turn around and say, Aam Aadmi is affected, all of India is affected. That's a wrong general statement to make. Be specific in your complaint, and then we can find a solution.
I think I said it in the very beginning, Mr. Sunil Alagh. Mr. Sunil Alagh, when we say that, it also includes the larger inflationary impact that any price will happen. Yes, but a fuel price hike will also mean that your good transport cost goes up, which means effectively all your goods will start costing you a lot more. So there is a larger inflationary impact that the country itself will see at some point. Now I agree it won't happen just for a 15-day price hike. If this goes down tomorrow, that will also change. So I understand what you're saying. But I want to take up the point that you made, that right now the government needs the money. So let's talk about that as well. Yeah. Mr. Chandra, do you have any more inputs on the fact that yes, the funding is required. The funding is required to take care of those people who will be losing jobs, those farmers who will be losing out on their produce for one entire season. There has been a bit of a problem, and the government needs the money. What are the other options? Can we look at other smart, innovative ways of raising funds of taxation from people who can actually pay the tax than to simply look at this method?
Now, at the outset, let me set the record straight that excise duty is a specific duty. It is not ad valorem. VAT, which is imposed by the states, is ad valorem. Having said that, at the moment, the choices for raising resources from alternative sources is very limited. Corporate tax, as the advanced tax collections have shown, is down. Income tax is likely to come down. GST is down. 1,05,000 crore was budgeted from disinvestment. We don't know when the process would start. So as things stand today, the other option is to raise debt. Now, monetization itself will have an inflationary impact. And the kind of stimulus that was given in 2008 led to the large quantum of NPAs and the price that we are paying for it even today. So we don't know what the unintended consequences of monetization, which is basically RBI lending to the government, would be. I would prefer any day that the imposition is direct, it is certain, we know exactly what we are paying, we will have to pay the cost. COVID is a black swan event. It is one of the things that nobody expected. The pain will have to be borne. We should be prepared to bear the pain, and especially with the requirement of additional defense expenditure the requirement of additional money that has to be paid to the farmers and to be pumped into the rural sector in the form of Manrega for the migrant labor, which has gone back. The demand on resources is only going to go up. Expenditure is rather inflexible.
Okay.
And as GDP is expected to fall, the tax to GDP ratio may fall by a larger percentage. And given that, the tax resource base may shrink even further. We're supposed to collect about 5,000 to 6,000 crore of tax per day.
Absolutely.
The collections have been below par, and we don't really know when they will reach the budgeted levels.
Oh yes, absolutely. Thank you so much to both of our experts for really giving us a larger overall picture. Fact of the matter is, viewers, this is unprecedented times. We have to look at the larger economic picture and say, well, at a time when the government needs additional funds for welfare of lakhs of migrants, of the farmers, of the poor daily wage workers, small and medium enterprises, businesses that are shutting down, all of that money that is required, where are they going to get it from? Especially when they are not earning enough tax. A government also earns a good amount of revenue via taxation only when the economy is performing great. But our economy isn't. It's down in the dumps. It is projected to get worse this year. And so the government has to look at other avenues. This cannot be the only avenue, yes, granted, whether it's the central government or the state governments. But these are the first two things that usually anybody does. Hike the taxes on fuel, hike the taxes on alcohol, hike the taxes on expensive luxury items for people who can afford to pay those taxes. Let them pay those taxes. Fact of the matter is, this is not a simple debate anymore to say, oh, what about the common man? Can he really afford to pay 10 rupees more per litre? The debate is much more complicated, and the reasons for the government to look for and raise more funds are to a great extent justified. Again, I will say, this cannot be the only method to raise those funds. But of course, the government will have to look at other avenues, increase their borrowing, and all of that is also being done. We'll continue this conversation. For now, I'm going to thank all of our panelists for joining us on this debate.